This current administration is doing nothing but walking into gun stores, mom and pop gun stores, going after the simple little small minor paperwork errors that people are making and trying to shut those gun stores down permanently who've been in existence for decades. And what we're doing is by bringing this lawsuit, we're saying, you know what, you need to stop that. What Congress says this is what you're supposed to do. There are a set of laws there and they should follow those laws, not step outside those boundaries. And so we're trying to put them back in those boundaries and say this is enough. It's impossible for anyone to do what we do and not make any mistakes at all. You get people that walk into the gun store to fill out a 4473, which is the firearms transaction record. There's 100 ways a person can mess up this form, if not more than that. There are 100 different inputs that you actually put on the form. Even customers make mistakes when it comes to their name, their middle name or their first name. They reverse it. On that little box that says county, they put country. That does not mean that that person is going to get handed a firearm and they're not supposed to. They're not a prohibited person. And so their license should not get revoked just for that simple little minor mistake. I'm actually getting phone calls from gun stores all around the country, as far as like Oregon, as close as Houston. You're talking mom and pop gun stores. Grandparents, great-grandparents have owned this store, and all of a sudden now, ATF comes in and inspect them, find a little paperwork error. Maybe they've made the same type of error because they didn't catch it themselves, and they're wanting to shut them down. And this is the only way that I can help them is by filing a lawsuit, kind of being on the offensive instead of the defensive. I think we're assisting all the gun stores in the country in getting the ATF back into the box it need to be put back into. I'm so grateful that I was able to sit down and talk with TPPF. This organization is the one organization that I thought would actually stand up for Texans and stand up for all Americans in the United States and fight the federal government when they're overstepping their bounds. I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, we're going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were compliant with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, "I invoke my right to remain silent," and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights and you shouldn't rely on the police to read them to you. Affirmatively invoke your rights. Say, "I'm invoking my right to remain silent and my right to my attorney." Once you do that, the police legally shouldn't continue questioning you without your attorney present. But remember, there's a second part to this equation. After invoking your rights, you must exercise those rights. That means you have to keep your mouth closed. Protect yourself. Don't let the legal system take advantage of you after an incident. And Law Shield members, if you've been involved in a self-defense incident, remember to call the emergency hotline and speak with your independent program attorney.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guide because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
Good day, Austin, Texas, live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. All right, so today we're going to talk about all 18 and up can carry handguns at public universities. We're going to talk about the fact that the ATF, guess what? They filed paperwork in the court this week, basically saying that, hey, Central Texas Gun Works did an outstanding job in their inspection, and they're not going to seek a revocation of our license. Actually filed that in court. Also, we're going to talk about body camera footage shows a black family held at gunpoint after police typo. They mistyped their the license plate number. We're also going to talk about St. Louis County, Missouri. A group of teens show up with AKs at someone's house seen on a Ring camera. Also, the gun rights debate, balancing freedom and safety. Also, cannabis, gun. We're going to talk weed and guns. Also, Vice President Kamala Harris says, hey, you know what? Gun laws or Second Amendment is a false choice, according to her. Also, we're going to run over to Kenosha because police strike wrongly accused man inside Applebee's. And also, states where the most guns are traced by the federal government. Going to break that down, the top 10 list there. Also, we're going to talk about A man seen beating his girlfriend is shot and killed by an unknown driver. And a Karen jumps in front of a dirt bike and stops him. What would you do if someone stopped you from going about your way and, stopping your freedom of passage across the United States? We're going to talk about all those stories and more coming up next. Man, all 18 and up can now carry handguns in public universities as long as they get their license to carry handgun in the state of Texas. That's right. January, the Texas Department of Public Safety, they're now issuing a license to carry handgun to all 18 and up. 18, 19, 20, 21. Everyone 18 and up, you can actually get your license to carry handgun and you can carry on a college campus. So congratulations to my new college students who are attending public universities or community colleges, or the ones that are returning who actually this summer took the time to take their license to carry handgun course and get their license, because now they can carry concealed carry only at all of your public institutions and your community colleges. That's going to be University of Texas, Texas State, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Austin Community College, and all your community colleges in the state of Texas. You can get a license to carry handgun and conceal carry your handgun inside the building of the public universities and the community colleges. So just look for the 30.06 sign. That's that sign that says a person with a license cannot conceal carry. So look for that sign. It's a sign that's like block letters, 1 inch in height, clearly visible to the public in English and Spanish in contrasting colors. Look for that sign there to make sure that you don't carry in those places. So definitely follow that sign. You don't have to worry about those signs that they post at UT. Those gun-free UT signs? We don't worry about those. We don't care about those. We just care about the 30.06 sign. Also, your professors, they can tell you during their office hours to not carry your firearm inside the office during office hours. So definitely watch out for that, because they can give you verbal notice for that. Right? Now, so the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms actually filed in court last week. They filed and they said, hey, as set forth in defendant's previous response, industry operations, and this is the case involving Michael Cargill, Central Texas Gun Works versus the ATF when it comes to gun stores being shut down in the country. So they basically said that, hey, when they did their inspection, the inspection commenced on Monday, June 26th of Central Texas Gun Works and concluded on Friday, June 30th. ATF held a closing conference with the plaintiff and the plaintiff's counsel on July 21st, marking the official end of the inspection process. So the inspection process basically began on June 26th and ended on July 21st. And as set forth in the tax exhibit, they basically said, hey, we failed to retain ATF Form 4473 for items that were there's a file that's missing for people that were denied. So, they know who they were denied, who was denied. They have all the information of the person that's denied, but for some reason we've misfiled that one little file that includes about 6 or 7 records. So we can't find it. So that, and also failure to maintain accurate, complete, timely manufacturer acquisition record, failure to obtain completed ATF Form 4473, failed to record an ATF Form 4473. So these are things like someone walked to the gun store, the person picked up a firearm from us, they filled out the 4473, and then they said, hey, hold on, I want to get some gunsmithing done for this firearm. So what the person did was then they brought it back to us, or left it with us that same day after they passed the background check, and we forgot to log it back into our A&D book. So those little things like that. And those are things they basically cited us for. And they said they notified the plaintiffs of these findings and advised the plaintiffs of the corrective actions required to remedy the issue. None of the violations identified require further administrative action, such as a warning letter or warning conference. So nothing that we did wrong suggests that we should have a warning letter or warning conference or anything like that. And so they do not implicate the zero tolerance policy, which is implicated only by findings of serious willful violations. So according to ATF, this does not they don't tend to take any administrative action against Central Texas Gun Works or myself. So they're not trying to come back and revoke our license because we passed our inspection. And so they actually filed that in court on April the 8th with the federal court, United States District Court of Western District of Texas. All right, so what do you think, Zach?
So they just wanted to file this to say that you had some violations, but they weren't enough to shut you down, basically?
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get our case drop or dismiss is what they're trying to do. So now that they didn't find anything wrong, they dug around, they got into the weeds there, check all the different agencies, all the different state agencies they possibly could. They didn't find anything wrong, and they're saying, hey, okay, fine, nothing. We only found these things here out of the 13,000 records that we searched. We found, these X amount of things here wrong, so we're not going to revoke your license. And by the way, we don't think this. They're going to say later on down the road, here's what they're going to come back and say. I have no standing in this case, and so they're going to request that the judge drop the case because, I had a good inspection. A good inspection. That's what I think.
I guess.
I mean, that's the game I would play if I was on the opposite side.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they're filing this, right?
I know. It's basically putting my my inspection out there for the world to see. And by them doing this, that's a deposition. They deposed me, without informing my attorney first. The fact that they did the inspection and reported back to the court everything they found the inspection. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a deposition without informing me that they were doing a deposition beforehand and without my attorney being present for the deposition. Only for the closing at the very end.
That's sneaky. Very sneaky.
Very sneaky. So hopefully my attorneys will come back and and say something very clever, to this, and talk about this. So we'll see. Man, you have you hear about the case of the body camera footage of the family that was traveling. I don't even know what state they were traveling. Oh, they were in Texas. So Texas police held a family at gunpoint. I hate that, I don't like putting color on it, but Texas police, held a family at gunpoint earlier this month after a typo led to police wrongly believing that the car was stolen. So I guess they had license plates from Arkansas, and the police officer typed Arizona AZ instead of AR. Wow,
Mike, why does it say black family? What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know, and I hate that they do that. It's just I think that's the media trying to guide the conversation or trying to
stoke racial tension.
Yeah, they're trying to provoke racial tension.
Part of me thinks that it's just they just want clicks.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
And that's a possibility too. Yeah, because I don't think it really matters. What matters is the police screwed up big time. They put this family in jeopardy. They terrorized the kids. It doesn't matter the color of the kids or the color of the family. It's the fact that they held this family at gunpoint and totally terrorized them. And these kids are going to be, traumatized probably for the rest of their life. And
yeah, they're going to hate cops.
Absolutely. Grow up hating cops and in fear of cops on top of that. The way they were talked to. I mean, you have to look at this video and listen to the things they were saying. It's like, don't move. What did they say? If you move.
They threatened to shoot him.
Yeah, we will shoot you. Oh, my goodness. And the dad was like, oh, my God. He's like, I was so afraid I was going to drop my cell phone and go down and have to reach for it. And your guy's going to blow me away in front of my kids. Like, wow. Because they typed the wrong state in the database.
So even if that was even if they put the right car in, it was stolen and there was a 12 and a 13-year-old in there, you can't just shoot a car with innocent kids in it. Right? I mean, that's fucking crazy.
You think not, but if they see a gun, they think they see a gun. Remember? I thought I saw. Remember the guy that was standing in front of his door in New York, and he dropped something. He reached down to pick it up, and they put like 70 bullets in this guy. So he
didn't even have a gun.
Didn't have a gun. It was his cell phone, and he blew him away, sent him straight to Jesus. So these things happen. They happen all the time. I can name you story after story after story. So
no. How about the guy who was in the hallway and the police officer said, "Put your hands behind your head."
And he did.
Now come to me. And he was like on the ground. He's like, "I can't move. I can't."
How can you put how can you put your hands behind your head and then crawl at the same time?
Shot by the cop.
Shot and killed.
Yeah,
and that was a white dude.
And he had on his dust cap He had on his.
Oh yeah, like kill them all. Or
no,
something?
he said you're fucked.
Oh yeah.
It said you're fucked on his the dust plate.
But that guy was white, so it just goes to show that it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It just you would think this day and age of where we are today, especially talking about law enforcement. We've gone through 2020. We've gone through protests and stuff like that. You would actually think that this day and age that law enforcement would be a little more on their P's and Q's when conducting traffic stops. But I get it. I don't get it. But I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Or they're just more on edge instead.
Huh?
Or they're more on edge.
That's just. I don't think they really care. I think we need to do a reset and start over from scratch and get rid of some of these people that are doing these things because.
Well, as long as they have qualified immunity, then they don't really have to care that much.
You got to start holding them, accountable. Mm-hmm. We definitely have to start doing that because this whole family. I mean, when you listen to this video, I mean, just listen to it. It brought me to tears almost. This family was totally traumatized. The kids were traumatized. They're definitely going to grow up hating cops. They're going to grow up in fear, fear of police officers and everything. So, very crazy situation to be involved in Frisco, Texas. Well, I'll tell you, I stick to the highways. I don't screw around when it comes to little small towns.
Frisco's not a small town.
Yeah, but I stick.
The fastest growing cities in Texas.
I don't go to. But I don't go to these little, highway, 121 or highway whatever. I stick to interstate. You know what I'm talking about. And interstate, screw you,
going on the big roads.
Interstate left and right, interstate north and south. Yeah, or interstate loop around. Yeah, screw that. I'm not going through. I'm not going through Bastrop County. I'm not going through Maynard, Texas. I'm just calling it like I see it. Williamson County. No, thank you. I'm sticking to the interstate.
Yeah, as long as the cops have qualified immunity, then what's the reason?
Yeah, but how do we even get rid of qualified immunity?
People need to stand up, and we're gonna have to push this issue to court. We're gonna have to push it to court and somehow get the our judicial system to correct the wrong.
Or even if it's not completely gotten rid of, could be reformed somehow. Because if you're going to be a cop, then, there's a certain hazard to the job.
Because suing them doesn't work, because the only thing we're suing them, and that's taxpayers' dollars. That's the city that's paying you. We're paying that. The city, the citizens are paying, that money. Until we're able to actually sue the police officer for what they actually did, I think then once we're able to do that, something will change. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, that's like if you have a job where it doesn't matter if you just totally screw up, there will not be any liability on your end.
Well,
a great job to have,
Yeah. So apparently this happened on July 23rd in Frisco, Texas, and was captured on multiple officers' body cameras. Emotional footage released Saturday, July 29th, shows several members of the Frisco Police Department demanding the family, who identified themselves as husband and wife, their son and nephew, exit the car. They identified the boys as 12 and 13 years of age.
Little boys.
Yeah.
That's at that very impressionable young age.
It shows the lack of passion and lack of care, because you got to put yourself in other people's positions sometimes. If you don't care about someone, you kind of treat them like crap.
You just pull your gun on
them. But if I see myself, I see my family in that person's eyes, I tend to treat them a little different. That makes sense?
You humanize them.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, do we want to play the video of those kids on the door cam?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's next. So, man, that's St. Louis County, Missouri. So, these little thugs here.
Niggas can stick up and wait for the thing got gripped up. How we doing to no goofy thick and murder, too? What was this? Hold on. I take this pic.
And that one kid doesn't even have a face mask on. He doesn't have a ski mask or anything.
Open that door, gang.
You don't think so?
And see, someone asked me, hey, Michael, what would you do? What would you do in this situation? you know, and the only thing I can think of is, you know, it actually immediately came to me, you know, without even
straight through the peephole.
No, without even thinking about it. Actually, no, I wouldn't, because I want to make sure I know where my threat is and what's behind my threat, and I don't want to miss them and hit one of my neighbors across the street. You know, I want to make sure I hit the threat. So I actually would make sure, you know, I got whoever was inside my house, got them into a little safe room, safe area, so that they're you know, away from gunfire. I would have gone out the back door, gone around the house to the front of the house, and actually sent them straight to Jesus in the front, standing in my front lawn.
How would you send them?
I'd have shot right back at the house with the house as my background and sent them straight to the Lord. I'm just telling you.
Nothing's gonna happen to that kid.
Oh, when I send them to Jesus, something's gonna happen. I'm telling you right now. So that's why I'm going to handle it.
Jesus,
I'm going to handle it myself. I'm not going to let the judicial system or wait for the judicial system to handle it.
Yeah, but like, nothing's actually going to happen to that kid, even though there's door fucking Ring camera footage of his face on camera brandishing a weapon in front of somebody's home with four or five other people.
His family can sit outside my house and do a candlelight vigil outside my home and wonder why I shot their son.
I get what you're saying you would do.
Their nephew, whatever.
But the issue here is that nothing's going to happen, right?
So we have a mic in every home across the United States. Nothing's going to happen.
You're talking about, you know, like a DA that we have here in Travis County. That DA in Travis County is not going to prosecute someone like that. You know, it's so unfortunately, citizens got to take, you know, their matters into their own hands. We have to be vigilantes now. We have no choice but to be vigilantes. And I encourage everyone to be a vigilante and stop this. That's where we are today. Welcome to 2023.
Everybody
vigilante.
should be Batman.
Vigilante justice. All right, so let's change gears again. Let's talk about this cannabis and guns. You know, weed and guns. We always like to talk weed and guns, right? So, Zach, you know, on the 4473, when you walk into the gun store, there is a spot on the form that talks about marijuana. It actually says
all illegal drugs, right?
It says even if you live in a state that has legalized or decriminalized marijuana, you know, it still is against the law on the federal law. So you walk in the gun store, you fill out that form. You can't hot box and walk in the gun store and buy a gun. You can't have a medical marijuana card or prescription for medical marijuana. I have to remind people of this because who is responsible for prescriptions?
Yeah.
What agency of our federal government?
DEA?
The DEA, exactly. You know, so pharmacists, you know, doctors have a DEA number, and the DEA oversees prescriptions. So the federal government's it's all in that business of knowing who has what.
Yeah,
and
a lot of those
FBI,
prescriptions, they have triplicate pads where when a doctor writes a prescription for a certain thing, the top copy they tear off, and that goes to the patient. The middle copy stays at the doctor's office, and the third copy goes to the DEA.
Yeah. So you know that stuff is being put in a database in the system. So and this may not catch up to you initially. It's not going to catch up to you initially because that's not something they're looking for. So if you're thinking, oh, I have a medical marijuana card, I can't walk in the gun store and pass a background check. Not true. You're going to pass the background check. What's going to happen is after the fact, down the road, you do something wrong and the government wants to get you for it. They're going to go back and they're going to look and they're going to dig and they say, hey, this person filled out a 4473 down the road. And guess what? They have a medical marijuana card. We can get them for a felony for this.
So it's way worse
because they lied on the form. Exactly. They're going to get you down the road later. It's not going to prohibit you from getting initially. It's going to be something that's going to be used against you in court to arrest you and convict you later on down the road. Mm-hmm. And so, you got courts now. There are federal courts, appeal courts. They're saying, hey, hold on, slow down. In New Mexico, gun owners and cannabis consumers, you know, they sent a case to court, and recently a 3-judge federal panel agreed to reverse the conviction of a man who was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison after being pulled over with firearms and admitting to occasionally using cannabis. Also, the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Fifth Circuit cited a 2022 Supreme Court ruling that says, hey, any firearm restrictions must be consistent with the historical context of the Second Amendment's original 1791 ratification. And judges said the rule, said that the federal government attempt to establish a historical analog to the cannabis and gun ban fell a little short. So we gotta wait for this stuff as well as everything else to make its way up to the Supreme Court. And you have to pay attention because they're coming after Judge Clarence Thomas. They're trying to get him to resign, get him off that court. They're trying to figure out a way to impeach him or to get him to resign. I don't think he's going to resign. He's not going to step down. He will die on this court unless they impeach him. I'm convinced of that. So, but they're trying to figure out a way. And this is all what they're basically admitting is they're mad at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They're mad at RBG. They're mad at her because RBG didn't know when it was time for her to retire. And she died in office under a conservative president. And so it's her fault. Because now the court has tipped a little bit and there's more conservative justices on the court. And it's a little, according to them, not balanced. Let's see. Wow. We got to go to Kamala Harris. So she says gun laws or Second Amendment is a false choice, according to Vice President Kamala Harris. She says the very people who refuse to engage in a meaningful debate and discussion on this, who refuse to pass reasonable laws, are the same ones who talk about accountability all the time. And she should have just listened to our conversation right now. We don't agree on everything. We disagree on a lot of different stuff. We disagree on the ways on doing things all the time. She says the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment protects the rights of Americans to keep and bear arms, citing the necessity of a well-regulated militia, according to what she says. Harris was speaking at Everytown's Gun Sense University in Chicago at the annual event where activists and survivors of gun violence, many of them members of the 10 million strong Moms Demand Action Group. And so she said, your generation is critical. She says, according to Harris, to a loud applause when the student asked her what the role she could play. She says, we are counting on you. We need you. And so and she goes on and blah, 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 so on and so forth.
So what the fuck does she even mean? It's a false choice. I didn't track with that. She's just throwing things out there, throwing words out there that really have no meaning.
You can still have the Second Amendment and gun laws, right?
Yeah, you can. And she says there are some people who are just trying to sell a false choice that you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away.
So what she's saying is, you can still be a supporter of the Second Amendment and want to take people's guns away.
Right. So that could be true. There could be people in the world that think there should just be some regulations. I agree with that. The politicians, though.
No, I'm not falling for what she's trying to say.
The politicians that are saying that there should be regulations on guns, they almost all of them, I think, do want to completely eliminate firearms at this point.
I'm not falling for what she's saying. The bottom line is this: you have people that are standing up for the Constitution and standing up for our Second Amendment rights. That's why the Second Amendment is the second. And your freedom of speech is the first, because the second protects everything else. It protects all of your constitutional rights. That's why our forefathers made sure that was the Second Amendment of our Constitution. And then you have these other people on the other side. Yes, they do want to take your guns away. I do think that whether it's an inch, they want to take an inch here, an inch here, an inch here until they get the mile, because their goal is to go after all your guns. You look at what's his name, Beto O'Rourke. He said, "Hell yeah, we're coming after your AR-15." Right. That's what they want. They just don't want to say, okay, we're going to add some restrictions to it. We want the whole fucking gun, is what they said. And that's what he said. That's what he said multiple times. So, yes, they do want to come after all the guns, regardless of what they say. You give them an inch, they're going to take the mile. And I'm not falling for the okie doke.
So is she referencing constituents or is she referencing politicians?
Doesn't matter. She's referencing, there's one side that says this and the other side says that. And there's one side that says, hey, we're going to stand up Second Amendment. The other side says, hey, we're coming after your guns. And they're coming after your guns.
The politicians, yeah. But there's plenty of people I know that
whether they're politicians, whether it's Mom Demand Actions, whether it's Shannon Watts, whether it's whoever, their bottom line is they want to come after the guns.
Right. But there's plenty of actual voters out there that don't want to come after all guns.
Well, what happens is it's 2020 when COVID happened and the country shut down. That kind of freaked people out. Oh my God, the country's shutting down. If I dial 911, the police are not coming to save me. Oh my goodness, I need a gun. And that's what, was the chink in their armor, which actually damaged everything, because people were like, holy crap, I need to make sure I have a gun in this house, because if something happens, I need to defend my house and protect my family and to protect my livelihood. So, hey.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if Democrats are actually trying to sell guns.
Okay, let me tell you. I listen to a lot of different arguments. I listen to what people say, and what kills me is let's talk about immigration for a second. I listen to how the fact that they're saying we need to allow immigrants to cross over into. I don't have an opinion on one side of this debate or another. I'm just listening to what people are saying. You have liberals that are saying we need to allow illegals or people from other countries to just cross over our borders, just open up the borders, have open borders, because we don't have enough people that are working here in the United States. We don't have enough workers. So let's allow them to cross over. So I'm thinking, okay, so we don't have enough workers here in the United States. We're going to allow people to just cross over and just open up our borders. Then why are the same group of people pushing for abortion? You're trying to force a group of people to abort their freaking babies, kill your babies, but then you want to allow people from other countries to come and kill. It's like, what are you saying? I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
I don't know what that had to do with guns.
It doesn't matter. It's just like they're confused. We're going to open up our borders, allow people to come across the border, and then in the same breath, we're going to push for abortion. You're either way, you're affecting the workers here. By pushing for abortion, you're affecting the workers. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
So that's tied into the COVID selling guns?
No, I'm just saying, it goes into the mindset. I'm talking about the mindset of people and what they believe in and what they're pushing for.
It's a cult.
Yeah.
You got to believe everything that the cult believes, or else you're not a good cultist.
Yeah. That's why, in New York City, there's a whole time span there. The majority of abortions that were done in New York City were, the majority of them were
black.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that still is accurate.
Like a million a year or something.
Mm-hmm. Very
accurate. So are you just saying that there's like a lot of because
I'm saying they're hypocritical.
Okay,
they're hypocrites.
Okay, gotcha. I was trying to understand what. Okay, so
they're just hypocrites.
Like when they talk about COVID and they want to defund the police, but they also don't want people to be armed, that kind of thing. You're talking about the paradoxes that exist within the Democratic Party?
It's like when they had the protests in 2020 here in Austin or other cities around the country, protesting the cops. We're going to take the streets and protest the cops. All of a sudden, someone jumps in their car and runs someone over, and all of a sudden they're like, "Where's the cops? We need the police!"
Right? Okay.
You
I
can't
see what you're saying.
protest the cops and then act like the cops.
Right,
it makes no sense whatsoever.
Like the Garrett Foster
Make up
thing.
my mind, please. Where are we going? Are we going to act? Do we want cops or we don't want cops? I just don't get it. All right, sounds good. So let's take a listen to this video here over in Kenosha. I didn't even listen to it, so I got to listen to it.
I'm not doing it. Stop it. Stop it. Put the baby down now. Stop it. Hey, please, get the baby. Please get the baby. Here. Back up. Back up. We're trying. Back up. Come on, man. Get off the baby. You're squeezing him. Stop. You're squeezing me. Stop. We're not squeezing you. I mean, go, yes, you will. Hey, please stop. Hey, be careful. Your baby head. Your baby head. Be careful. Let him go. Your baby head. Please stop. Off of me. Somebody grab the baby. Off of me. Somebody grab the baby. Get his feet. Let him go. Put your hands. Behind your back. Hey, stop. Hey. Hey, stop. Don't touch me, bro. Don't touch me. I'm just trying to record. I can record legally. Yeah, but you're obstructing my investigation. I'm just trying to watch. Get out of here. Go over there. No. I'm at my workplace, bro. This shit. Back up. This where I'm recording. Up. That's fine. You can record. You need to let us do our job. Go ahead, bro. I'm not.
All right, so, Gary, this reminds me of there's a clause in the Texas Penal Code that says that if a police officer is using greater force than necessary to arrest you, you can use deadly force to stop them. Yeah, I'm on fire today. What you got to say?
So you can kill him.
I said, what I said was, if an officer is using greater force than necessary to arrest you, you can use force or deadly force to stop him.
So let's say a cop was chasing a guy across the highway, and that cop tased that guy.
He was already committing the crime. He had been committing the crime, running from the cops. He was committing
Yeah, but
the
you
crime.
said greater force. He was tasing the guy on the
He
highway.
was committing the crime. This guy who was not committing any crime.
Doesn't matter if they're read
This guy was not committing
read the
crime.
penal code again.
This guy was
read
not
the
committing
penal
crime.
code again.
You can't be
Read-
committing the crime and then claim self-defense.
Read the penal code.
The penal code is
again.
you can't be committing the crime then claim self-defense.
That's not what
so
you just said.
He was the guy running across the highway was committing the crime. Wrong.
You said if it's too great of
case
force.
Closed. Done case
If
closed.
an officer is using
This guy in Applebee's.
If it's greater than necessary
This guy
force,
in
you can use
Applebee's-
force or deadly force.
This guy
to
in
stop
Applebee's
him.
was not committing the crime. He was not doing anything wrong. He was where he's supposed.
That's not
where
what
he
you
had the right to
said.
be. He's holding his baby, and they're trying to handcuff this guy, and they're beating him to a freaking pulp while his baby's in his hands.
Okay, so you said if a cop is using too great of force, unnecessary
A
force,
police officer used the greater force necessary to arrest you. You can use force or deadly force to stop him. The guy that you're talking about running across the highway was committing the crime.
you didn't say anything about that though.
Before that, in the statute, you can't be committing the crime and then claim self-defense.
Can you pull that up and read it to me?
It's under 40. It's under 9.31 and 9.32 of the Texas Penal Code. What I'm saying is that guy that's running across the highway shouldn't have run.
If I shoplift and I run across the street, across Ben White, and they tase me and I got run over and killed across Ben White, that's acceptable.
I didn't say it's acceptable, but someone's going to pay civilly regardless. So the police officer, the city, the police department, they're going to pay. A portion of him dying is your responsibility. But I'm just saying, hey.
The police officer was using unnecessary force then in that hypothetical situation that I just
There's
going
to be a civil suit, and the family.
Did the
will win
police
some
officer
money.
use unnecessary force in the hypothetical situation I just gave you?
I don't think so. Criminally, no.
Then what does the penal code apply
Criminally,
to?
no. Civilly, maybe.
I mean, that doesn't. You can't just apply that penal code to someone.
Those are two different situations. One person's committing a crime, the other person's not. That's not the same situation. I look at things. You're stuck on the guy that was running across the highway is white, and you're stuck on that.
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
Not at all.
I don't care what color he was. The fact that he ran, he got.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Zach?
If the cops even like handcuff an innocent man, then
you can't stop an officer from arrest you. If an officer's trying to arrest you, you have to let them arrest you. But if they're using greater force necessary to arrest you, then that's different. They're punching him, they're tasing him, they're punching him. That's something totally different than just putting handcuffs on you.
Okay,
those
Mike,
are two different things.
Now apply that to the guy that ran across the highway. Just humor me. Don't freak out.
He was committing a crime.
How do you know that? You're innocent until proven guilty.
He was, in the eyes of the police officer, he was committing the crime, and that's why he.
So what if he was innocent?
Hey, well, we'll find out, won't we?
No, we won't. He's dead.
Exactly. Then that's where the civil suit comes in.
What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm not changing my mind.
This is.
You're trying to convince me to change my mind. I'm not. Anyway.
I'm not changing his message.
Moving on.
Jesus Christ.
All right, good. States where the most guns are traced by the federal government. All right, so. Ooh, more
where
than.
they're most used in crimes?
They said more than 453,000 firearms were traced by the ATF in 2021 by federal assistance in gun crime investigations. Is far more common in some states than any others. Using a 2021 data from the ATF, the 24/7 Wall Street identified the states where the most guns are traced by the federal government. States are ranked by the number of firearms traced by the ATF for every 100,000 people in the state. And the population adjustment calculations were made using population data from the U.S. Census Bureau in 2021. So you have Hawaii is like number 50 at the bottom of the totem pole. Maine is 49. And then let's jump to the top 20 on that list here. So as far as the top 20 of guns that were traced back to a particular state, number 20 is going to be Kansas. So it's at 20. Number 19 is Kentucky. Number 18 is Illinois. 17 is Indiana. Texas comes in 16. 15 is Florida. 14 is Maryland. That's a very small state for them to 14, 13, Mississippi. 12 is Missouri. Number 11 is Arizona. Number 10 is Delaware. 9, Alabama. 8, Ohio. 7, Georgia. 6 is New Mexico. 5 is South Carolina. 4 is Nevada. Number 3 is North Carolina. Number 2 is Tennessee. And the number 1 state where guns were traced back is going to be Louisiana. Is the number 1 state. So firearms traced back to Louisiana, 298.9 per 100,000 people. That's about 13,823 total guns traced back to the state of Louisiana. And what a firearms trace is basically if a gun is stolen or recovered or used in a crime and police recover this firearm, what they do is they contact the manufacturer and ask the manufacturer, who did you sell this gun to with this serial number? The manufacturer then says, hey, I transferred the gun to this distributor. The distributor says, hey, I transferred the gun to this gun store. Gun store says, hey, I transferred the gun to this individual here. And that's how firearm traces are done. And usually a lot of people are getting their guns stolen because they leave them in their vehicle. They're stolen in their vehicle like around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because they don't take the guns out of the car. That's the number 1 way that criminals get their hands on guns, from unlocked vehicles. So if you just remove your gun from your vehicle at night, take it out of the vehicle, then that will eliminate a lot of the firearm traces.
So these are just per capita numbers, right?
Yeah, per 100,000 people.
So either the crimes are committed there or the guns are coming from there?
The guns originated from that particular state. Yeah.
It's a lot in Louisiana.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Illinois isn't as high as you'd think it'd be.
No. I think because a lot of guns are coming from other states, maybe the neighboring states. Mm-hmm. Let's see. New York is 42 because they
don't sell guns. California's probably pretty high on that list, right?
Let's see. South Dakota, Montana's 32, Alaska's 31, Nebraska. Let's see where California sits. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin's 27, Colorado's 26. Oklahoma is sitting at 23, your state. Illinois is 18, Indiana. Did I not say California?
Not yet.
I skipped it. Missouri, Arizona. I didn't say California in the top 20?
Nope.
Did I skip it somewhere?
California's 22.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I skipped it somehow. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. Which is 138.5 per 100,000, which is 54,338 guns.
That's the most of them all, though. Mm-hmm. Just because they have the highest population.
Does California have the highest population?
Oh, yeah.
Do they? Okay. I don't know. All right. And then also, going to jump over to Texas. So 3 Texas cities rank inside the top 20 for rudest in America. Man, what cities you think those are?
Well,
if you had to guess.
Houston, Dallas, Austin.
Really? Austin landed at number 16.
Dallas is probably number 1.
The rudest city in Texas is Dallas. You're right. How'd you just, are you guessing this or you read the story?
Austin was number 16. Dallas is number 14. So Austin's close behind.
Oh, man.
San Antonio is 38.
What do we do in Austin that we're so rude? Bad drivers.
You ever driven on 35? Yeah.
Really? I mean, post-COVID, I get it. You know, everyone's trying to get down the road real fast. But before that, I don't think
No, I think it's been like that. It's been like that for a while because there's a lot of people from out of state that live here, especially a lot of people from California.
So they're not true Texans. It's people from other states.
Not.
Yeah.
What's the third city? So I got Austin. I got
Houston.
I don't see where they mention Houston. What number?
It's the first one they mention.
Is it?
Yep.
What number is Houston? Oh, number 18. And then Austin comes in at 16. And Dallas. Okay, I got it at 14. Okay. They're pretty close to each other. Man.
Guess we're assholes here in Texas.
No, we're not.
No.
No, we're not.
I thought we were kind of nice.
Okay. I don't know. Gary don't think I'm nice.
Huh?
Okay. All right. So, man seen beating his girlfriend is shot and killed by an unknown driver who got out of his car to intervene. Did you see that video?
There's a video of it?
Yeah, there's a video.
No video. I don't
It's not a
think
video?
Actual video.
No,
of
they
it.
don't know who the guy is.
It's like a
okay.
story.
Just a news story? Okay.
Yeah, some guy was beating his girlfriend. Some passerby shot the dude.
And then he just dipped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll roll the video. We'll roll the video right here.
I was so in shock when I saw it.
What this woman who asked we conceal her identity, concerned for her safety, is describing is fighting so bad between a man family members have since identified as Tracy Richardson and his girlfriend. It prompted her to call 911.
At one point, they were both on the ground.
But before police arrived at this Boone Ridge Drive yard, that fight was finished.
From his car, he just got up, shot him.
Police are still trying to figure out who he is. They may be able to argue self-defense of a third party.
I think it's a justifiable shooting based upon the information that I've read.
According to police, Richardson was severely beating his girlfriend at the time. She was hospitalized after the attack and is having trouble seeing out of one eye. Several drivers stopped to check in on the couple, but this silver car was the only one to circle back.
My son was the light of our family.
Court documents show Richardson was out on bond for assaulting his girlfriend in a separate incident a month prior to this shooting.
Well, if that's the light of the family, I hate to see what the dark of the family is. Let me tell you. He's the light of the family. He beat her within a pulp. She almost had her eyes shut. And my son was the light of the family. These people killed me. Are you serious?
Was that a African-American lady?
Yeah, she was black. Well, I tell you, is you crazy? He was the light of our family. Well, then,
the rest of them are all locked away for murder.
My son was an angel.
Are you serious right now?
They always are.
What is wrong with these people? Good Lord. Okay, moving on. I don't even know what to say to that.
Maybe she's got dementia. She doesn't remember who her son is.
Like I said,
yeah, her son beat her to the point of having dementia.
She's blind in one eye.
I mean, like the other story, those teenagers standing at the front door with with AKs and stuff. You know, they'll be.
That was her other son.
They'll be exactly. you know, Zach. Last
That's
night,
her second favorite child.
Last night there was a Zach outside the store here.
What do you mean, a crackhead? What are you saying?
it wasn't a crackhead, but the guy's name was Zach, and he had pulled into the parking lot, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I get like alerts and crap, and so he gets out of his car, staggers out of the vehicle, he crouches over, throws up, and then lays on the ground, and then someone was in the vehicle with him, gets out of the passenger side, comes around to the driver's side, jumps in the driver's side, and takes the keys. And he, gets up, like, give me the keys. Like, no. and then he sits back down, lays on the ground. Then he gets back up, and the person in the car is like, come on, Zach, let's go. He didn't want to go. Like, come on, Zach, let's go.
Yeah, Zach and I had a long night.
It was not this
rough.
Zach here, but it was pretty funny. It was just a drunken scene in the parking lot. This is like 3 o'clock in the morning. They like gone downtown and just pulled into our parking lot here on their way back home.
You get the craziest videos on your security.
Really
cams.
do. The things that people do in this parking lot is just crazy. Pretty funny. And then some random person walks by while they're yelling at each other and then just looking. And then the person in the vehicle goes, you just walk away. Just keep going. Just walk away. So I set off all the alarms in the parking lot, and they're like, let's go. The police are coming. So it was actually pretty funny. Come on, Zach. Let's go, Zach.
Remember when those crackheads were smoking crack and you said over the intercom, you cannot do crack here?
I mean, in all fairness, it was like meth, but I like just to use the word crack. Because
it said do crack.
Yeah. I know. I like saying crack. It was just funny, but it was like meth.
Crack's not.
Crack is whack.
You beat me to it.
What you said? Crack is whack.
Meth is Beth.
Just say no, according to Nancy Reagan. Just say no. All right. Let's go check out Karen. Karen jumps in front of a dirt bike rider, refuses to let him leave while she calls the police. My question for you is, what would you do? What would you do? So let's take a listen to this video here. And I'm just curious about what people out there would actually do. You know what? I can't find the video.
What if someone reaches in your car to take your keys out of the ignition?
I call that the castle doctrine, and I have a right to use
Entering
force.
your vehicle, right?
I have a right to use force, deadly force to stop
What
them.
about when you're on a motorcycle?
Same thing, castle doctrine. So I hope this didn't happen in Texas. Do you see the video at all, Gary?
No, I didn't get to see that one.
And so, well, basically, some people say, why not start the bike and go? Someone said, you're allowed to defend yourself at this point. Make your way past her. She is in your personal protection bubble. I don't know what that means. But, we do have the castle doctrine. The castle doctrine says that if someone unlawfully enters or remove you from your vehicle, you can use force, deadly force to stop them. So be it on a motorcycle or moped or something like that, someone, attempts to enter, touching you, remove you from the moped, the motorcycle, you can use force, deadly force to stop them. So there is the castle doctrine. But what would you do in that situation? Is it really worth it? I think I would just start the moped and just push her and just go for it. Just push her and ride out.
Catching a case.
Huh?
Probably not worth catching a case.
No, just push her and ride off. See ya. Holla back. Peace. You can't stop someone from going from point A to point B. Who are you? As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun. You listen to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill. It's really important that you help us right now. We're in a fight for our life. So please share, subscribe, like, Come and Talk It.